Vedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Ki Jai, Shri Shri Nidai Gauranga Ki Jai, Shri La Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nidai Gauranga Okay. So let's start our discussions with Bhagavad Gita from verse number 17, third chapter. Third chapter is titled Karma Yoga. And this chapter, Karma Yoga, is actually talking about discharging one's prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. And there's one more chapter of Karma Yoga, fifth chapter, it's called Action in Krishna Consciousness. Okay. So now, in this chapter, Arjuna asks a question to Lord Krishna with regard to what is better, whether he has to perform Buddhi Yoga or engage in war. For him, it was sort of a confusion whether engaging in war or activity sort of a thing is something he could not understand. And he was thinking Bhakti Yoga, Buddhi Yoga means meditation and without any activity, inertia. So this question was put for Lord Krishna. And Krishna very nicely was answering the question of Arjuna by first telling that simply restraining from activities or giving up all activities, neither of them is not without proper advancement, because taking up sannyasa or refraining from doing activities, both are not meant for people who are not spiritually advanced, right? So Krishna gives the principle that Atma is always active. That is the nature of Atma. So this being the nature of Atma, you have to perform your duties. What Krishna says to Arjuna. And he says, don't be a pretender and don't show things that you can, you can simply make a show of sannyasa or renouncing things. That is not good for you. So that way Krishna introduces the principle of what is known as yajna, wherein you perform activities. The Vedic principles, the Vedic understanding gives us the performance of yajnas or performance of activities, which everything is centered around Krishna. And Krishna gives the wonderful principles, what is given in the Vedic scriptures known as Karma Kanda section, wherein the Vedic rituals, various performances of yajnas are all very interconnected in the whole cosmic arrangements with regard to devatas, with regard to the various aspects, arrangements in the material world, sun, moon, stars, water, air, sky, all these things, and the devatas controlling them, and how we living entities are all interconnected, Krishna was mentioning. So performance of yajna is very much essential, Krishna was mentioning. And with this, Krishna explained what is known as yajna chakra, which is very essential for every human being to perform. What is yajna chakra? Yajna chakra is a cycle of activities which is going on in the whole cosmic arrangement, which all of us are part of it. And we as human beings are supposed to perform some duties as part of this yajna chakra. Krishna says that the living entities are subsisting on food grains, food, all living entities. This food grains is coming from rains. And rain is happening because of performance of yajna. Different types of, when yajna is used in different contexts, it depends on in which context we have to understand what way. Just like the word Atma may mean mind, Atma may mean intelligence, Atma also means soul, Atma means body. Like this, it depends on the reference to context. Okay, Yagna in the Yagna Chakra basically means the different various prescribed duties, which are all meant for different ashramas and varnas. And all these activities are finally meant to satisfy Krishna. So Krishna says, the performance of yajna is regular rainfalls. Regular rainfalls will give production of grains. And how is this yajna performances? What type of yajnas we have to do? What is the prescription? That is all there based on the different types of duties prescribed in the Vedic literatures. These Vedic literatures are giving clear directions with regard to what are the duties. And these Vedic literatures are actually manifestation of Krishna. They are not some concocted or manufactured some teachings. They are all from Krishna only. They have emanated. And because they are coming from Krishna, they are meant to give direction to all of us. Prabhupada says, after creation of this material world, when these conditioned souls were also impregnated in this material world, Krishna gave us the Vedic wisdom, how the conditioned souls can return home back to God. The whole material world is meant to give us a chance to prepare ourselves to go back to spiritual world, right? So in the material world, the living entities are all very eager for sense enjoyment, material enjoyment. The Vedic directions are such that the living entities can satisfy their desires also, material desires, and also prepare themselves to go back to God. That is what the whole Vedic way of life is, right? So the living entities are supposed to perform certain prescribed duties while in this human form of life. That's what Krishna is telling. And in the present age, Kali Yuga, it is not easy to perform them the way Vedas are prescribing, because so many rules, regulations are there. Easiest way is to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada's nicely giving us the understanding that in the modern age, it is not easy. So all the Vedic injunctions, all the various rules, regulations are very nicely presented in the form of the Krishna consciousness principles, which Prabhupada has given us. This will replace the performance of all Vedic rules, regulations. So Krishna mentions that this is the way we have to perform, or this is the way we are supposed to be part of the Yajna cycle, Yajna Chakra. If you don't perform this Yajna Chakra, don't be part of this Yajna Chakra, then you will be leading a life of sin. You lead your purpose of life is not fulfilled, Krishna mentions. After saying this much, Krishna now goes on to explain from verse 17 up to next few verses about what is the situation of a person who is already self-realized. Because so far, Krishna was giving a recommendation that human life, you have to perform some prescribed duties, so then you come to the platform of self-realization. You become purified and you prepare yourself to go back to spiritual world. Whereas Krishna now mentions that there are personalities who are already self-realized. So what should they do? Whether they should perform Vedic rituals, Vedic rules, regulations, how they conduct their activities. Basically, in this section, Krishna is going to tell us that even though you are self-realized, Krishna gives examples of self-realized people, you have to perform activities to teach the common man, teach the public how to live and how to act. This is what this next section of verses is going to tell us and explain to us, because Krishna gives example of great personalities and Krishna gives example of himself. How Krishna himself, when he comes, he also performs duties, he also performs actions. Okay, so it begins from 17th verse with regard to what is the nature of a self-realized person. What is the quality of self-realized person? So I hope everybody is keeping the Bhagavad Gita book in front of you as it is. Verse 17, Krishna says, Yast atmaratir evasyad atma truptascha manavaha atmani evacha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. Krishna is telling, this is very nicely using few important words here. Atmarati, Atmatrupta, Atma Santushta. Right? These are the words Krishna uses. So which means one who is Atmarati, one who is taking pleasure in the self. One who is illumined in the self, Atmatruptaha. And one who is satisfied with the self only, Atma Santushtaha. Right? Basically, they are all descriptions of what is known as Atma Rama. Right? Similar description we could see Krishna explained in verse number 55, second chapter. Atmani evatmana santushtaha. Right? Prajahati yada kamam sarvan partha manovatan atmanevatmana santushtaha tushtaha sadapragnes tadoshchate. When the mind finds satisfaction in self alone, Krishna says. Okay. So Krishna was talking about Sthita Prajna. One who is situated in, one whose consciousness is steady, or one who is Krishna conscious. So here again, Krishna brings up this aspect of what is this self-realized person. Self-realized person, one of the symptoms is he takes pleasure in the self. Contrary to this, ordinary person takes pleasure in senses, sense gratification, material senses. Okay. He is illumined in the self. Means he knows what is the right thing. Illumination means he is self-realized, he is fully knowledgeable about who is he, what is his duty, and Prabhupada says that by the grace of the Lord, there is constant direction to him. It's a nice verse, later on we'll see, in 10th chapter, 10th verse. Not 10th verse, I think 13th verse. Krishna says that Tesham Evanukampartham Aham Ajnanajam Tamaha. Sorry, 11th verse, 10th chapter, 11th verse. Tesham Evanukampartham Aham Ajnanajam Tamaha Nashayami Atma Bhavasto Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. Krishna says, for those who are devoted to me, because I am staying in their hearts, I destroy with the lamp of knowledge, Jnana Deepena. Always I am giving them illumination, and all the ignorance is gone away. Self-illuminated means he is not ignorant about who I am, what I should do, what is my responsibility, what is my duty. Just like most of the people right now are. They don't know who they are. What is the purpose of life? What is the goal in life? What is going to be my next life? No knowledge. Self-illumined, basically, Prabhupada says, by the grace of the Lord, he is fully knowledgeable about his actual situation. Because he is self-realized, he is completely aware of his eternal position as eternal servant of God. Basically, the identity of me as spirit soul is realized properly. Identity that I am part and parcel of Krishna, I am spirit soul, and my duty is to serve Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. It is called self-illumination. Right? So Atma Rati, Atma Tushtaha, Atma Santushtaha, who rejoices in and is satisfied with self only. Ordinarily, a person is running after material gratification. right? Satisfy every sense. He's running here, there, here, there. Whole life is a life of sense gratification. Whereas a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested with the material arrangements, Prabhupada says, like wine, woman, and similar infatuations. The difference. So this is a description, this verse, next verse, and the next verse, that is 17, 18, 19, are all descriptions of a self-realized soul. To understand what is our goal, we have to come to this stage. If we are not Atma Santushtaha, Atma Truptaha, Atma Rati, then we are still in the process of, we are the sadhaka stage. We have to understand. So these are all elevated stages which Krishna is giving a glimpse here. Right? So basically, Krishna wants to say there is a stage of complete self-realization. For him, there is no duty. He has no obligation. So there are many wonderful examples in the scriptures. We get example of Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami, by birth, he was a liberated soul. And before he was even Hare Krishna. Okay. So, Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, according to Bhagavata, he was in the womb of his mother for 16 years. Right? You may wonder how come child generally, in the womb, maybe 9 months or maximum 10 months. How come a child is 16 years in the womb? These are all, mystic potencies of great personalities that they are able to stay like that. And why he was in the womb of the mother? Why? Because he was afraid that if he comes out, Maya will capture him. So Krishna had to personally come and give assurance. Don't worry, you can come out. And will not be influenced by Maya. And in fact, while in the womb only, his father, Vyasadeva, had already given the synopsis of Bhagavata to his son, Shukadeva. And after he came out, again, he started, giving some more wonderful instructions. And after that, he left his house. And he was walking naked. He was just 16 years old boy, and he was walking naked. Description is in Bhagavata in the beginning, first canto. So this boy, Shukadeva, was 16 years old, was very beautifully looking personality, right? So he, when he was walking like this naked, there were some young girls who were all bathing in a pond nearby. But when this boy was going naked, walking, they didn't even bother because he was such a self-realized soul. For him, there was no need to, out of shyness that he cover their bodies. They knew that he's not going to get affected by any of these things, and neither they were affected. Self-realized soul is not affected by the material beauties or material, the reactions. Whereas when his father, Vyasadeva, was running behind him to just stop the boy and, bring back to home, that time, so his father, Vyasadeva, who was running behind him to, make that boy come back to home, he was just walking, also swiftly. But when Vyasadeva came, these very same girls started covering their bodies. Because Vyasadeva was a grihastha and they were feeling that his advancement was not as much as Shukadeva Goswami. This is the example given in the Bhagavata of a self-realized soul, Atma Rati, Atma Santushtaha. Okay. And there's one more example of Jada Bharata, Bhagavata. This example is of how Bharat Maharaj, example is the whole planet is called Bharatavarsha now. Why? Because of this king. Bharat Maharaj. He renounced his family at the age of 24 years. And he went for spiritual realization. But unfortunately, at the end of his life, he became attached to a deer cub, a small deer. And because of which, at the end of his life, when he left his body, he became a deer after leaving his body. So one life he had to take as a deer. And in his deer life, he remembered that, oh, what a big mistake I have done. So he was sitting in the ashram of great saints. He was hearing Bhagavata. Next life, after deer life, he became, he took birth in the Brahmana family as a dumb person, dumb and very dull person, and as though madman. So because he wanted to behave like that, basically to see that he will not get entangled in the material world. So he was known as Jada Bharata. So Jada Bharata's behavior also was like this. Atmarati, Atma Santushtaha. So these are all examples, practical examples. Okay. So, and we have also example of recently the Goswamis, 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They were also like this. Atmarati, Atma Santushtaha. Taking pleasure in the self, illumined in the self. Right? So they are not running after sense gratification. They hardly had any time. They were 24 hours engaged in service of Krishna, so much so that they were hardly sleeping, is mentioned. They were thoroughly analyzing all the Vedic scriptures. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno, Sadharma Sansthapato. So like this, great examples are there of the self-realized persons, self-realized Krishna-conscious persons. And we also have a wonderful example of Haridas Thakur, who was also such a wonderful personality, great personality, that he was chanting 3 lakh names of Krishna every day. Our one mala has 108 beats of Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, beats, Hare Krishna full mantra you have to chant on every beat. So one mala has 108 beats, 108 times into 16 names. One mantra has 16 names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 16 into 108 is how much? 1728. Okay. So Prabhupada has given us a prescription of chanting 16 rounds minimum. So this comes to somewhere roughly around 25,000. Okay. Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj said, if you don't chant 64 rounds, you're not even a human being. So according to his calculation, we are not humans also. We are all animals. Anyway, Prabhupada's mercy, yes, given us a standard. Our Acharya standards is what we have to follow. We follow. So according to Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, 64 rounds is equivalent to 1 lakh names. 16 rounds will take around 2 hours. So 64 rounds, how many hours will it take? Kamaji, how many hours roughly? Unmuted, you can unmute. Yeah. How many hours? 8 hours. Okay. It takes 8 hours. 8 hours. So Haridas Thakur, so 64 rounds is around 1 lakh names.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 lakh means how many names? How many times? 64 into 3.
3.
Now we are around. How many?
24.
192.
192. Yes.
So practically 24 hours he was chanting. So no time for eating, no time for sleeping, no time for watching TV, Facebook, WhatsApp, forget it. So where is the time? 24 hours chanting only. And he was satisfied. He was very happy. It's a nice pastime about, Haridas Thakur. When he was actually chanting like this, he was actually a Muslim by birth. So the local zamindar was becoming envious. Somebody from our religion, Musalman religion, is becoming a Hindu. So he was very envious and he wanted to defame him. So he arranged one prostitute and told, you somehow see that this Haridas Thakur will fall down from his position. We will defame him. So that prostitute agreed, okay, don't worry. Give me 3 days time. I will convert him. I will see that, he will fall down. So she went dead of night. Oh, Haridas Thakur, you are a very young man. That is, when he was very young, that time this past time happened. Young man, so I am a young woman. So dead of night, nobody is there. So let's unite. So Haridas Thakur said, oh, very good proposal. Please sit down. What happened now? My chanting, somehow little more pending is there. I have to finish this chanting. My vow is not completed. You please sit down. Once I finish chanting now, immediately we will enjoy. Okay, she sat down. Haridas Thakur was chanting. She was hearing. And this went on. It became early morning. And this lady thought, what is this? Early morning ho gaya. So then Haridas Thakur said, very sorry, Say, I couldn't finish my vow. So you do one thing. Today evening you again come again. We will, definitely fulfill your desire. So like this, that evening also she came. Same thing happened. Okay. But here, this time, she was simply sitting and hearing what Haridas Thakur is chanting. The second day also didn't happen. So next third day, again by third day, when she came and chanting was going on, after almost some time, she started feeling very guilty and she fell down on the feet of Haridas Thakur and accepted the plan and accepted the mistake she has done. She revealed all the plan. What was the plan? Actually, I'm sent by the Zamindar and all these things. Haridas Thakur said, I knew all these things. I could have immediately left the place. But because I wanted to deliver you, so I stayed back. So Haridas Thakur said, now that you have understood what is the purpose of life, chanting is the main purpose. You give up everything, give all your charity of all your property, what you have, come and sit here and chant Hare Krishna. So initiated her and she renounced everything and she became a big sadhvi and she started chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna, she told, actually Haridas Thakur said, in front of Tulsi is very, very powerful. When you are chanting Hare Krishna, if you have Tulsi plant, in front of Tulsi plant, if you chant, it's very auspicious. And say Prabhupada's photo is there, or Prabhupada's small murti is there, and Tulsi plant is there. In front of them, if you chant Hare Krishna, is very powerful. This Prabhupada recommends in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? Because Tulsi is very dear to Krishna. Tulsi Krishna Prayasi. She gives you Radha Krishna Seva. Krishna Seva she will give you. Okay, so try to see that if you can chant in front of Tulsi. That's what Haridas Thakur instructed this prostitute. You sit here, wear simple clothing, shave your head, chant in front of Tulsi. She did that. And she went back to God. That is the power. So which means, these examples I am giving you to demonstrate to you or explain to you that there are pure devotees. Examples in the scriptures. The greatest example for us is Srila Prabhupada, who was having all these symptoms. But nevertheless, Prabhupada never showed that he never said that I am a pure devotee, but all these symptoms very much there in Prabhupada's personality. He was self-illumined, self-satisfied, taking pleasure in the self. All these many, many wonderful leelas are there. So basically, a pure devotee has some symptoms, qualities. That's what Krishna is explaining here. So far, Krishna has been stressing to Arjuna, perform your duty, perform your duty, perform your duty. Now, Krishna is telling, there are self-realized personalities who did not perform their duty. Right? One more example of Madhavendra Puri in scriptures, who is the spiritual master of Ishvara Puri, and Ishvara Puri is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Madhavendra Puri is a very great spiritual master in our parampara. So like this, here Krishna is giving us example of, rather giving description of a very elevated personality, elevated devotee. Okay. Next, in the verse number 18, Krishna explains further symptoms. He says, Naiva tasya krite nartho, na krite neha kaschana, na chasya sarva bhuteshu, kaschid artha vyapashrayaha. A self-realized person has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has any need to depend on any other living being. Basically, Krishna is telling us, a self-realized person is not obliged to any other, norms which regularly we are supposed to follow as Vedic injunctions. A similar statement was made by Krishna with regard to while explaining the aspects of self-realization. Krishna explained in verse number 52, Yadate moha kalilam buddhir viditarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam sota vyasya. Second chapter, 52nd verse, Krishna says that when your intelligence has passed out the dense forest of illusion, which means when you are self-realized, you will become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. In that verse, Prabhupada gives the example of Madhavendra Puri. His statement, he says, how 3 times prayer a day, goodbye to you. Bathing, I offer my obeisances to you. Demigods, forefathers, please excuse me, I can't offer my obeisances to you. Basically, the different obligations, the Vedic duties with regard to Shraddha, with regard to giving respect, with regard to offering so many other rituals and sacrifices, these conditions are not there for a self-realized soul. He is above them. That's what Krishna wants to tell us here. Right? A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his duty. Whereas our purpose is what? Our purpose is to become purified. Our purpose is to become self-realized. That's why we are supposed to follow the rules, regulations. So, but we should not imitate these great personalities. Krishna warns about this also in the later part of this chapter. So here, very nice example we can understand is about Haridas Thakur only. In the Bhagavata, there is a description of how the association between a man and a woman is very strict according to Vedic regulations. Man is compared to butter, woman is compared to fire. When you bring butter and fire, what happens? What happens, Bhumika ji? Butter and fire?
Butter melts, Prabhuji.
Very good answer, because you've been doing this in your kitchen, right? Butter melts immediately, right? So, this is what happens. When man and woman come together, there is some lot of reactions happening. So, description is in the Bhagavatam is Matra swasra duhitra va navi viktasane bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvamsanapi karshati. Bhagavata says, don't sit alone even with your mother, with your sister, with your own daughter. You may be a very advanced person in learning, very vidwan, right? Very great learned person. Even then, your senses are so strong that they can become agitated. Right? This point Krishna also mentions. in the second chapter, verse number 60. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabam manaha. Senses are very strong and impetuous, Krishna says. Very impulsive they are. Very strong and impulsive. They forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them, Krishna says. So, when Haridas Thakur was alone with a woman, a very beautiful young woman, how is it that Haridas Thakur even allowed a woman to be there alone whole night? Scriptures say a woman cannot, man, woman coming together means, oh, finish. Butter and fire. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was strictly following the sannyasi. No woman can come near him. Any woman means maybe half a kilometer distance they have to offer namaskar and go away. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say, even the doll of a woman, I cannot go near that. Yes, see, such strictly he was following sannyasa. Basically, here we should not understand, we should have a proper understanding. Woman, as a class, we are not trying to condemn or rather minimize the values. Woman in Vedic literature means, for a man, woman is a woman. For a woman, man is a woman. Basically, it's a gender based. Basically, the mentality, attitude of enjoyment. So, Vedic direction is being solitarily with a woman, even your own mother, sister, or daughter, is restricted. How did Haridas Thakur be there? Because he was not under any rules, regulations. He was a pure devotee. He could do that. We should not imitate. Similarly, in Bhagavatam, we get an example. When Hiranyakashipu went for tapasya to please Lord Brahma to get some boon. That time, his wife was alone in the palace. His wife's name was Kayadu. So she was actually pregnant. So Devatas thought Hiranyakashipu is such a big demon, and his wife is pregnant already, and one more big demon will come out now. So now Hiranyakashipu is not there, we'll go and kill that child or kill that woman. So Indra, all the great devatas came to that palace, and they were harassing that lady and dragging her to see that the child is killed. At that moment, Narada Muni comes and he instructs, "Hey fools, what are you doing? Now, the child whom you are thinking is a demon is not a demon, is a great devotee. Prahlad Maharaj is going to be born." As soon as they heard Narada Muni like this, they immediately left that lady there, and actually they went parikrama, circumambulation around that lady. Oh, great devotee. And Kayadu, wife of Hiranyakashipu, told, "Unless my husband returns, I would like to be under your shelter." So Narada Muni took her to his ashram. So Narada Muni alone, this woman alone, how it is possible? Vedic instruction is what? Man, woman cannot come together. But again here, Narada Muni, when she was there in the ashram, he instructed Bhagavata to her, but she was mostly sleeping off. But the son in the womb, Prahlad was hearing nicely. That's why he was born a pure devotee. Okay. So here, again point comes, for a pure devotee, this rule applies. He has no purpose to fulfill the discharge of his duty. Yes, neither he has no reason to perform such work. We have to understand this statement very clearly. One is that he has no obligations with regard to, even if he is not performing his prescribed duties. Rather, he'll also not see that he will not perform his duty. Just like in Narada Muni's case, you see, he did his duty of protecting a woman. But also he did his duty of instructing her, because he knew the child which is going to be born is a pure devotee. He did his duty. Right? So Krishna consciousness is not inactivity either, Prabhupada says. A Krishna conscious person is actually independent of any other obligations in the material world. Whereas we think, oh, we're obliged to my family, my society, my country, devatas, all these things. Krishna consciousness itself is sufficient for him because that is the highest thing. That is the understanding. That's the meaning of this verse, 18th verse. Okay. Krishna consciousness is beyond any obligations. And 17th verse was Krishna conscious person, self-realized person is self-satisfied, self-illumined, and he is fully satiated. Verse number 19. Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. Very nicely Krishna concludes here. He says, therefore Arjuna, perform your duties without being attached to the fruits of activities. Asakta satatam is the word, is asakta, or without attachment. Krishna has been stressing from second chapter onwards. Karmanyevadikaraste mafareshu kadachana. Mafala kadachana means don't become attached to results. Attachment to result is the main cause or reason for our entanglement. Okay. So without being attached to fruitive activities, one should act as a matter of duty, karyam karma. Right? Karya, karma. Karya means one complete duty, complete activity. Karma means very small units of activity. It's like every bead of chanting Hare Krishna can be called karma. Completion of one mala is called karya. Okay, karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma. If you do like this, when you work without attachment, what happens? That will give you the highest perfection of attaining the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Which means, if you are attached to the fruits of your activities, that is the cause of your entanglement. That is what Krishna wants to say. Very nicely Prabhupada explains, when you act in Krishna consciousness or devotional service, not on your own, but under the guidance of a proper expert spiritual master, and your action should be without attachment to result. I am chanting not for my gratification, it's for pleasure of Krishna. Meanwhile, when I am chanting, Krishna is bestowing me mercy of purifying my heart. I'm not asking for that. I'm only praying to Krishna, please accept my service. There's a quality of service in which we have to come to in every aspect. Right? So attachment, without attachment to result, is certainly making progress towards the supreme goal of life, Krishna says. So Arjuna was refusing to fight in the beginning. Why? Because he had his own personal considerations. Oh, this will happen, that will happen, my relatives will be killed, the family tradition will be destroyed, women will become polluted, Varna Sankara will happen. So many considerations he had. But when he understood all these considerations are my own considerations, but Krishna wants me to fight, so let me fight. Right? So Prabhupada says to be a good man or a non-violent man in your own estimation is actually your personal attachment. Just for sake of showing to the world, oh, I'm a non-violent person, I'm a very good man, I'm an honest person. That doesn't have any value from Krishna's point of view. What does Krishna want? Right? So you have to see always, judge your activities, whether what does Krishna want me to do? What does Prabhupada want me to do in this direction, in this particular situation, is what you are supposed to be always considering. And at every action, we should not have any trace of attachment to the result. See, result can be very gross to subtle. Right? Gross result of some very gross fruits, gross aspects. Subtle results, subtle fruits of name, fame, some intention, personal motive. oh, if I do this, then I'll become very famous. I'll be well known. I'll be recognized, like this. So the attachment to result can be very gross to subtle. That's what you have to always see. So I don't have any personal motivation in this, personal agenda in this, personal intention in this. That's the whole point. So Prabhupada says, the perfect action of highest degree is that action wherein you're acting only on the behalf of Krishna and without attachment for the result. Right? Whatever Krishna wants, Prabhupada wants, I will do. Otherwise, I will not do. That should be the standard of action. Prabhupada says that is the highest degree of perfect action. Right? Prabhupada further says, the many Vedic regulations, recommendations, rituals, sacrifices, they're all there. They're all meant to gradually help you in purification from many, many impious activities which you have done, or the result of impious activities, the bad karma, what you're carrying with you, that has to be purified. But in Krishna consciousness, what happens? Whatever you do is all good. Krishna is going to explain about this more detail in the fourth chapter, next chapter. He explains about karma, vikarma, akarma in next chapter. Just slowly is introducing the concepts. So Krishna consciousness is beyond reaction to good or evil work. In ordinary course of activities, good also will have reaction, good reaction. Bad work also will have bad reaction. And you're always trying to neutralize them and trying to manage them. But in Krishna consciousness, whatever you do, bhakti, whatever you do is beyond good and evil work. Because even good or bad, otherwise in Krishna, otherwise will only entangle you. If you do good work, pious work, you'll be elevated to heavens. If you do bad work, you'll be degraded. Right? So basically, Krishna is telling a Krishna conscious person has no attachment. Asaktaha. Tasmad asakta tatatam. The word asakta, Krishna uses 2 times in this verse. Right? So asakta acharan karma. So always perform action without attachment on behalf of Krishna alone. Krishna wants it, I will do. Krishna doesn't want, I will not do. Right? This is the standard of the Krishna conscious person's activities. Okay. The next verse number 20, Krishna explains that, so that may be the case for a Krishna conscious person. The self-realized persons act like this. A completely Krishna conscious person acts like this. Prabhupada acted like this. But Krishna further says in verse 20, Karma naiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayaha loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. So, Krishna is giving us example of one great king by name Janak Maharaj. Even kings like Janaka and other great personalities, they all attained perfection or professional stage of performing prescribed duties. Krishna first said, for a self-realized soul, there is no performance of duties. Right? No duty, no obligation, everything Krishna said. Now he's telling there are great examples of great personalities like Janaka and other personalities who attained perfectional stage by performance of prescribed duties. Karma naiva hi samsiddhim. Why did they perform prescribed duties? Just for the sake of educating the people in general. Loka sangraham evapi. Right? So that everybody will follow their example. So Arjuna is being advised, now you don't run away from your duties. You perform your duties, certain example, Arjuna. So Prabhupada says that there were great personalities, great devotees, Mahajanas. Bhagavata explains about 12 Mahajanas. Right? Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narada Muni, Janak Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, Kapila Muni. So like this, Prahlad Maharaj, they're all Mahajanas, great devotees, self-realized souls. The whole Bhagavata is about these 12 great personalities. The pastimes of these great personalities with Lord Krishna. That's what the whole Bhagavatam is. Bhishma, Yamaraj, they're all pure devotees. So, we have just now heard in verse 17, 18, pure devotees have no obligation, no duties to perform, no prescribed duties. Even then, Krishna says, these great personalities, like Janaka Maharaj, they perform prescribed duties. Why? To set example for the people in general. So here Prabhupada describes about the greatness of Janak Maharaj. Janak Maharaj is not an ordinary person. He was the father of Mother Sita, who was the wife of Lord Ramachandra, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So definitely he is a pure devotee, great devotee. Nevertheless, to teach his subjects, to teach his, his citizens, he had to engage in worldly duties. We get like these examples in Bhagavata many, like Dhruva Maharaj. After he had seen Lord Krishna face to face, fully self-realized, at the age of 5 years, even then he came back and ruled the earth for 36,000 years. He performed his duties. Prahlad Maharaj was by birth pure devotee. Even then, he performed his duties of a king. So Prabhupada, pure devotee, he would have stayed back in Vrindavan and Aram say done his devotion. But why did he go to America? Because he had a great responsibility on his head of his spiritual master's order. He please go to the Western countries and preach Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was trying from the very beginning of his life. Finally, at the age of 70 years, he could go out from India. So we have these examples to tell how pure devotees also, they perform duties or responsibilities from worldly point of view to just teach people what is the right way of conducting oneself in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, although one situated in Krishna consciousness may not have interest in the world, pure devotees, they're not bothered what is going on around them. But still, they perform duties, activities like any person, but they do all those activities in Krishna consciousness to teach the public how to live and how to act. It's a very important point, Prabhupada says. Pure devotees, by their example, if Prabhupada had not gone to Western countries and taught all those, youth how to live a Krishna conscious life, Prabhupada showed them how to cook, how to clean, how to chant, how to read Bhagavata, how to understand Bhagavata, everything Prabhupada taught them. How to live and how to act. Prabhupada was a personal living example. Living Bhagavata he was. So seeing Prabhupada, by the association, they all got purified. This is required. That's what Krishna is telling us here. Experienced persons in Krishna consciousness can act in such a way that others will follow. Very important. That's what Krishna explains. Principle in the next verse, which we'll discuss in the next session. Okay. Krishna explains this principle of how acting in Krishna consciousness is so important for everybody. He may be a very beginning person or a very neophyte or advanced person. Doesn't matter. So here Krishna is giving a wonderful principle that even though you may be self-realized person, self-realized soul, but you have to perform your duty to teach others. That's what Bhishma did. That's what Janaka Maharaj did. That's what Prahlad Maharaj did. Right? Many great personalities did all these things. Yamaraj is doing his duties of being the superintendent of death. Anybody after death will go to him. He will award a proper results to them. At one time, Yamaraj was thinking, so many, a long time I have not done any direct service to Krishna. So I have to do some nice service. So one pastime happened because of which Yamaraj was cursed to be born as Vidura. For 100 years, he didn't do his duty of Yamaraj. He came down and performed the Leela of Vidura. Right? So like this, many Leelas are there. The great personalities, how Mahabhagavatas, how they have done their various duties. Okay, so I'll close here. If anybody has anything to ask, discuss, we can take a few questions and comments. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes, Deepak ji. बोलिए.
नहीं प्रभु जी, मैं तो बस अनम्यूट किया था. I think it's a very good session. We understood till now.
See, this portion of Bhagavad Gita now, 3rd chapter, it is sometimes not understood properly. So I have to spend some time on this with examples, the way Prabhupada explains.
Yeah.
Otherwise, generally, suddenly Krishna says something else he was telling, something else is telling. Yajna Chakra se kahan aa gaya Krishna? Sometimes we think. It is a continuity. Now Krishna builds up this whole concept. He gives examples of himself also. Next, after telling this, after telling example how even great personalities, when they come to the material world, they also follow rules. They also perform duties, just like Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They also accepted a guru, even though they themselves are Jagat Guru. Like that. So in the material world, you have to perform duties as long as you're in this body. But in what consciousness is what matters. Certain example. Okay, so the basic understanding here, what we have to get into is that we have to follow in the footsteps of great devotees. It's the main thing. We cannot become, like Prabhupada says in the beginning of this chapter, Prabhupada said, we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. Right? Oh, I'll just renounce everything and sit in a solitary place and chant Hare Krishna. That level also is not easy. For that also you need to have purification. A lot of agitation in the mind. Okay. But if nothing, yes, Mr. Kamath, Hare Krishna. You can unmute. Please.
This is regarding, you say that every action without any fruits you must do.
Yeah.
So is there any example? Is it ever possible to do that? That without any fruits you do the action, without any results?
See,
all actions, even yajna also, the action is for rains to come. So there is a result. So where is the question of an action without any result? How is it? Is it ever possible practically?
Yes, very good question. Yes, the action should be without result for you. Okay, action should be performed for the result for Krishna. That is possible, no? I am offering for Krishna. I am cooking for Krishna. I am working for Krishna. I am sleeping for Krishna. Possible, no?
Yes.
Now what you are thinking? I am sleeping for myself. I am eating for myself. I am watching TV for myself. No, you cannot say I can watch TV for Krishna. No. Krishna doesn't want that. Okay. So what Krishna wants only you should do. Yat karoshi yadashnashi. Krishna says in 9th chapter again.
Yes.
Yat karoshi yadashnashi yad juhoshi dadasi yat. Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurishva madarpanam.
Yes.
Arpana. Do arpana. You offer everything to me. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you do, sacrifice, charity, everything, do it as an offering to me. See, really Krishna says. So when you say work without result, attachment to result, it means don't take the result for yourself. That's what we have been doing. That's what we are conditioned to right now. As I told you, from very gross to subtle, we want results for ourselves. anything we do, we see, is there any commission for me there? Commission agents we are. Right. My interest, what is my interest there?
Correct.
I go to marriage means, what is there? No waste of time. No, you'll get some money there. Oh, immediately ready. Right? So like this, in everything, we see our interest. Prabhupada gives example. If you have kept a servant, a maid servant or a driver, 1 month you don't give salary, what will happen? He will start shouting at you and you'll leave the job and go. His interest is salary.
Correct.
Right? Without salary, if you tell him to work, next day he'll quit the job. Right? Like this, in every activity you see, what is that driving me in that activity? That is called attachment. For a family man, his attachment to family, my wife, my children, my society, my friends, this is driving him. This is today we are reading morning Mangalarti verse, a quote. Prabhupada says very nicely. Just like, there are people who get up early morning, 3:30, 4 o'clock. For what? Getting ready and going to office, factory. Why? Because they are attached to their family. That family attachment is driving them to get up early morning. Prabhupada says that same attachment, asakti, can be converted to Mangalarati asakti. Wow. You get up at 4 o'clock, become ready for Mangalarati. So nice. That same person, there is no office or factory, he will not get up at 4 o'clock. What time will get up? 8 o'clock morning or 10 o'clock if possible. Right? Whereas we get up 365 days early morning before 4 o'clock and get ready. So asakti, Prabhupada says, even though you don't have asakti now, you force yourself to become asakta for Krishna. That is called, Krishna says this, Maya asakta manapatha yogam yunjanmadashraya. First verse of 7th chapter. Develop asakti for me, Krishna says. So, if you don't develop asakti for Krishna, you'll be having asakti for so many things like this. One more nice thing we were discussing today. This asakti with regard to the material way of working is what? Basically, asakti means you are very excited about that activity, you are very charmed, you are moved, you are captivated, you are drawn. Right? That is called asakti, right? Last week, I was in Bangalore. From airport, I got down and I was driving directly to Sanyalji's place. There was a big, I think last 15th of April, there was a cricket match, IPL cricket match in Bangalore.
Yeah.
Right? Chinnaswamy Stadium. I could see so many people going all towards where to see the cricket match. Asakti. Asakti for cricket match.
Cricket match.
That too, cricket match is at 3:30, but the crowd is started moving from 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock only morning. They're all so much asakti. Just see, the same asakti if they had to come to temple, to chant Hare Krishna. That's what our asakti is all diverted like this now. Asakti to cricket match, asakti for online games, asakti for lottery ticket, asakti for drinking, asakti for party, asakti for that, asakti for this. Ooh, so many things. The biggest asakti is asakti to opposite sex. This begins from the very beginning of your life. From the school days it starts.
Yes.
Boyfriend, girlfriend. Prabhupada says. Right, today our discussion in Bhagavatam was that only, early morning. So it is said how his asakti to opposite sex is so enchanting, so charming. Right? Prabhupada was in New York in 1976. He was sitting in his very wonderful temple there, New York. So with him there was a disciple who had just taken sannyas. Okay, recently has taken sannyas. So Prabhupada was talking some subject matter and he asked his sannyasi disciple, new sannyasi disciple, have you seen beautiful New York girls? So, sannyasi, this new sannyasi was not able to answer anything. Just now we understood. Sannyasi means away from women. So Prabhupada is asking this question. Have you seen your beautiful New York girls? They're so charming, so beautiful, so exciting. So Prabhupada went on to describe about the beauty of women. The men in New York are attracted to the beauty and charm of these women. And they have built these skyscrapers. They have built this whole city. And they're all engaging, endeavoring, hard work they're doing. The whole city is working because of this. It's a fact. Man attracted to woman, woman attracted to man. This is what the material life is. Attachment begins like this, opposite sex. So this is the problem. Our attachment to material world means attachment to opposite sex and everything else. Bhagavatam says, attachment to opposite sex will create attachment to home, children, family, society, so many things like this. Atha graha kshetra suta apta vittai janasya mohoyam.
Correct. Illusion.
Correct. Whole big illusion. My family, my wife, my children, my family. That there's so big empire you have made.
Correct.
That is called attachment. Right. So this attachment you have to give up means you have to develop attachment to Krishna. Only then this attachment can be slowly slackened. Prabhupada said, when he went to America, why the hippies, the youth, were able to get pulled to him, attached to him, or attracted to him, is because somehow they had given up the family attachment. They are already without family attachment. So when Prabhupada came, they became attached to Prabhupada. It was good for them. Attachment to Bhagavata Sangha. Bhagavata, pure devotee is good. Whereas attachment to Yoshit Sangha, opposite sex, is not good. Attachment to opposite sex means entanglement, repeated birth and death. Attachment to pure devotee means liberation. Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahur Vimukte. Bhagavata says, if you can get attached to Mahajana, great devotees, that is the door for your liberation. Tamodwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. Attachment to opposite sex is a door to hell. Yes, see? So clear. So your question of, is it ever possible? Very much possible. It's in your hand. What you want to do every moment. See, this attachment is not that it's very gross. It is very subtle also. You are chanting, but your mind is taking you to so many thoughts.
Yes.
That is called thought process. You're attached. You're attached. What you do during chanting? You're planning. You're doing some problem solving, analyzing. You have become conditioned like this. Sort of an attachment for you. So while chanting, you should give up all these things and only do hearing of what you are chanting. Then you become attached to Krishna. Right? Very, very important thing. The whole Krishna consciousness means how you move, how you transfer attachment from matter to spirit. That's what is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. It is very much possible. It is in your hands. How you do is completely, you're responsible for this. Okay. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So shall we close now?
Yes.
Okay, Gupta ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Fine. So
Hare
let's
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.